Welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic snow tracks are in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me today, yet again, episode 3 of the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast is Mr. Jimmy Jett. Jimmy, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't remember what number we're on either.
I think
we're so far. Yeah, we're lost.
We're lost.
What is it? 88? 388? 390?
Because this would be a Thursday episode, so it's got to be an odd number.
89? I think it's 89.
Okay.
That's probably where I'm going into our podcast feed so I can look.
Nice.
388 was with Steve, so this is 389.
Nice. Well,
I wrote the body.
I thought we already recorded 389. So this is like 391 then.
Oh yeah. Shit. Yeah, this is 391. Yeah, we're a little off because we're trying to get some episodes in the bank. So while we're out at Cruise Moab, you can still listen to us in your ear holes while we're off gallivanting through red rocks and through the canyons and open up and crazy obstacles or something like that. Yeah. So 391. But it's a week ago.
Yeah. Week and a half. I don't know, whatever it is. Oh man. So good times. Let's see. I was up to some fun stuff, but I think we have some other things we wanted to go through real quick.
Okay.
One would be, what is this? So it's still April, technically, when this is coming out.
It is. Yes, it is.
So we have the giveaway for 2 gift boxes.
Yeah.
So if you guys want a chance at winning some more goodies from Summer Shine and some other goodies in there, then go ahead and make sure you're in for the giveaway tier over at irate4x4.com. Head down to the Snail Trail 4x4 forum, and all your sign up options are listed there. Also, if you want to bump up to the gift box or change tiers at all, April tends to be a really good month to do that since all the tier options are open for the month of April. So you can do that over at the same spot, irate4x4 and the Snail Trail 4x4 forum. If you're on a mobile device, those options are going to be down at the bottom of the page. And if you're on a web browser, computer, something like that, then you'll see those on the right-hand side of the page. If you do change tiers, make sure you cancel your old tier. And you got to do that by going into your PayPal account and managing your subscriptions. We can't do it for you. Make sure you go do that through your PayPal account. There should be an option there for managing subscriptions, and that's where you do that. See, we also have, I thought it'd be a kind of a fun thing to go through the whole gift box real quick.
Yeah, I agree. On Steve's episode, we only covered the products that he supplied, and we did not cover the remaining products. So here we are at the end of the month. If you guys are interested in a gift box, here is the full allotment of what was in the current gift box. And none of these items will be in the future gift box.
Correct.
Well, some of them might. One of them in particular.
So we have the Summer Shine metal polishing kit, which is, we went over with Steve on episode, what was that, 388?
That reminds me. Thanks for reading that. No metal polishing were in here.
Oh, that's funny.
But when I grabbed 4 bottles out of the pallet, I grabbed a metal polishing bottle. And so a small little backstory is there was a mix up in shipping, and we received the metal polishing as well as the 4 items that are in the gift box. And we knew we were only getting 4. So when I grabbed 4 items out of the pallet, one of them happened to be a metal polish.
That's funny.
And I put it on the list, and I did not want to print out more pages.
Gotcha.
So there was no metal polish in the gift box.
Okay.
I forgot we'll figure out which one when we read down this list, which one I missed.
Yeah. So it was we have the ceramic spray in the kit, which was the Razzle Dazzle.
Correct.
We had the Relentless all-purpose cleaner.
Okay.
We had the tire drip.
Yes, we did.
And we had the refresher, what was that? The rubber,
wash
the
and
RVP
wax.
dressing.
Oh, the good soap, wash and wax. Is that the one we missed?
The RVP isn't on here either.
Oh, so I missed 2. We had 2. I was 2 off.
the Good Soap Wash and Wax, the Ceramic Spray Razzle Dazzle, the Relentless All-Purpose Cleaner, and the Tire Drip is the RVP dressing.
Yeah. Okay. So we missed the wash and wax.
Yeah, the wash and wax.
The strictly metal polish. Just replace that with the wash and wax.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to, you can just cross that out on your paper and write that in.
If you happen to keep these or even read them. Yeah. I have no idea if you even read this thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Next item in here was the stable gun cleaning and lubricant.
Yeah. This was a fun little collaboration we did with Stable. Mm-hmm. We reached out to them actually first to try and get more products like what we got from Summershine. Mm-hmm. And they really only came back with, hey, you want this product? And we said, well, sure. Why not? Yeah.
We've got a lot of listeners with firearms.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. And so we got that product from them, and we're happy to support them and highlight that product, which is Ryan, MF or Ryan actually used it on his, I don't know, little pea shooter that he has.
Yeah.
He showed me and he started cleaning it up here in the warehouse. Mm-hmm. And man, it cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Fast and clean. And he pulled it out a few weeks ago and a few weeks later, and it's still very shiny and nice. So it's actually a really good cleaner.
I've used it now on both of mine as well, both of my pistols. And it works really well as a cleaning solvent as well as lubricant, and really protects everything really nicely. So makes everything slide nice and smooth. Yep. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's called the Stable Gun CLP, which stands for the Clean, Lubricant, and Protect for firearms. And it's a 3-in-1 biodegradable product, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that is neat.
Yeah. So let's see. And then the last thing in here, other than the fun little miscellaneous stuff, is something you got.
Yeah.
That I still haven't looked through and checked out and seen yet.
Okay.
By hand first person. So
yeah, this item, which is, what do they call it?
Campfire Stories deck.
Yeah, it's a card deck, and it's got prompts for you to have to start campfires around.
Yeah.
Maybe what we should do, maybe we
start making episodes around these.
Yeah. I was going to say, let's do one right now.
Okay.
Let's just open it up and I'll choose a random card that's inside of there.
Pick a card
and
any card.
We'll play the game.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Okay.
Give me a sec. I'm opening it up.
While Jimmy's opening that, we also have our normal candy and gear wrench 10mm socket. And it's a random socket. Could be 6 point, 12 point, could be 3/8, quarter, or half. But yeah, 10mm socket in there for everybody who loses them. So that was the gift box. We got it was about $99 in some cents, $98 in some cents. So your guys is $60. Paid in over the last 6 months, went and we created about $100 out of it. So if you guys are interested in those, we do have a few extras, gift boxes. We ended up, I think, with 2 extra. So I think we'll be putting those over on the Snail Trail website. If you wanted one yourself, give us a call, let us know. Shoot us an email. You can reach out to us on Instagram, Snail Trail 4x4 or 4x4 Toyota Tyler. And we'll get that reserved and sent that out for you. It would just be the $60 that everybody else paid. So maybe we bumped it up to 80. We'll check.
Okay.
All right. So Jimmy found a card.
Here's what they look like. No, I haven't picked one yet for the most part. So they just have a prompt. What's that one? This is the very last card of the deck.
Tell a story about, and then the prompt is a time you got lost or stranded.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's how the deck goes. So it's just to tell a story about, and then it gives you a prompt. The first one that I flipped to was tell a story about a companion that's sitting next to you. And I was like, oh, we should do that. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to just randomly flip this deck. Mm-hmm. And I got tell a story about your favorite or your worst travel companion. So it's kind of the same thing. But your favorite travel companion or your worst travel companion. Tell a story about them. I actually have one, sort of. You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
You can think.
Yeah.
I don't know if this exactly counts, but it'll be a kind of a funny little story. So many moons ago, like in 2000 or 2001,
Mm-hmm.
I did a study abroad to Italy.
Okay.
And my roommate, so kind of a travel companion,
Mm-hmm.
my roommate was a nice guy. He was an interesting character. I never met the guy before in my life.
Uh-huh.
He was going to the same school I was. It was a school study abroad thing.
Okay.
He showed up in a full suit to board the airplane.
Okay.
And I guess, I don't know what the deal for the most part was, but he was trained to be presentable every time that he was traveling to a new country or something like that. So anyway, so we got to Italy. Actually, here's a fun story about us getting to Italy. When we got there, I might have said this story before, but we threw our bags in the elevator because the elevator's super duper small. So it'll only fit our luggage. And we were on like floor 3 or something like that. So we hit floor 3 and then we hiked up the stairs, and this was at like midnight.
Okay.
And we got to floor 3 and our bags weren't at the elevator. They were like, where are our bags? And so somebody went up, continued to go up, and our bags were on the next floor.
Okay.
We're like, that's weird. So we were like, maybe somebody hit the wrong button.
Mm-hmm.
So then we tried the key to unlock our apartment that we rented, and the key didn't work. And so we were trying and like shaking the door and trying to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the key wasn't working. And then we heard voices on the inside of the apartment that we rented.
Uh-huh.
We're like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So then we kept trying to get in. I don't know why we were delusional. We just got off an airplane. It's midnight, we're trying to figure things out. We don't know why our luggage went to the wrong floor. All of a sudden the cops show up.
Okay.
Right. And they're like running up the stairs, guns drawn, screaming Italian at us.
Uh-huh. And
I'm the only one that barely spoke any Italian, and I only knew a few words.
Uh-huh.
And, so I was like, calm down, American tourists,
Uh-huh.
And then one of the guys spoke English, and pretty much long story short, is we found out that the floors are labeled differently in Europe.
Oh.
They go ground 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh. Okay.
Right. Or in America, it's ground is 1.
Yeah.
And so when we were on floor 3, which is actually floor 2. Our luggage actually went to floor 3.
Which is the 4th floor.
Yeah, which is 4th floor for us.
Uh-huh.
The cops figured that out pretty quick, actually. Led us up a floor, opened the apartment with our key.
Uh-huh.
We felt like idiots. Ended up buying a fairly decent bottle of wine for the apartment below us as an apology. But so anyways, my roommate was like, I don't know, like he's never been away from his parents or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He started dealing drugs.
What?
In Italy, which is like way bad.
Okay.
Like if you're caught with drugs, it's like jail immediately.
Uh-huh.
And he was storing drugs in our room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this isn't good. And he quit school while he was there. It wasn't going, just dealing and taking drugs.
Uh-huh.
And I eventually moved out of the apartment, which you're not really supposed to do for the school reasons. They want to know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved into another apartment with some other kids that I knew from my high school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was probably that was my first person that I thought of was my worst travel companion was this guy that like just started getting into all these bad habits in a foreign country and putting me at risk during that situation.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. That was kind of random.
Okay. I don't know. I have
well, say a best one. It was a best or worst, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I put it away.
I don't know. I don't really have a ton of travel companions, I guess.
Well, every time you go on a trip, you're traveling.
So there was a couple of stories that kind of came to mind as you were talking about that.
Okay.
And one of them is from my trip to New Zealand.
Okay.
So I went with this, work voluntourism group, right? We're all college kids from around the world. Most of the group is about 30 of us, 35 maybe.
Okay.
So a fairly decent sized group. We're from the United States, couple Canadians, couple UK, and we're over in New Zealand, and we're just all soaking it in, right? We're college kids hanging out in this college kid group, and I don't know if you've ever seen playgrounds in New Zealand.
I don't think I have.
They are way more fun than anything we have in the States.
Sure, I'm sure they are.
So we've got this group of like 30 college kids, and every time we pass a playground in New Zealand, all of us are just like, oh my God, we don't have shit like this in the United States.
Sure.
There's too many, liability risks of people falling off things or misusing the equipment. But apparently they don't have that in New Zealand. They don't have that issue. So they had a lot more fun things to play on.
Risky things
to play on. And so one of the things that that we found that we ended up loving, and every time we saw one, people immediately went over and hurt themselves on, was it's like a tilted circle, and the circle rotates on the tilt.
Oh, a merry-go-round, but it was tilted.
And it's not a merry-go-round. Like, well, I guess it could be. But it's only like 7 foot diameter, 6 foot diameter.
I thought those were also a merry-go-round or something.
I don't know. I've never seen one in the States before.
Well, they have small ones that are that spin, but not at an angle, not at a
correct.
Angles.
So this one, it's like a giant donut.
Could it
wobble
at different angles? So it was always just at an angle.
Yep.
Okay, so it was fun. So you speed people up, but as they were on the downhill slope of the merry-go-round, let's call it, they got the inertia and momentum,
and
downhill and just
then
crash into the ground.
Kind of.
Okay, or get launched.
No, that was. I mean, the concept was that I think the way you're supposed to use it is you're supposed to like sit on it, straddle it with a kid, and then you get them to the top of the tilt, and then as they come over and crest over the top, gravity then takes over and they can ride it down to the bottom, and then you can get them going up again, and then it does it again, right?
Yeah.
And
when you get a bunch of teenagers going,
but when you get a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds, what we do is we stood on it, and got people. We'd put like 8 to 10 people on it, stand up on it, and then slowly move everybody to the top side. So that we're all holding, and then eventually gravity would take over one direction or the other, and it would just go with everybody standing up.
Sure.
And people would fall off, people would fall on each other, people would push each other off, whatever it was. And there was a girl that was with us on the trip, and she was very physically uncoordinated.
Got it.
And so she didn't have that great a balance.
My daughter. Okay.
And so she's like watching all this go down, and she's just having a ball laughing at people and watching other people get hurt. And, after like the second or third playground that we stop at and play around on these little donut things, she finally works up the courage. You can see her like work up the courage to get on this donut. And all of us are kind of like, all of a sudden we all start looking at each other like, this isn't a good idea.
She's going to get smashed.
Like something bad is going to happen. Like people that are coordinated are falling off this thing and getting hurt. This is not going to be good, but she really wants to do it. And so we put like 5 people up there just to kind of like the goal was to get her to succeed so that everybody could work together and stay on it and ride it around until the gravity settles it.
Sure.
Rather than like when there's 10 people on there, the goal is to just see who can last the longest and stay up there. Right. And so we were like, okay, the goal is to make sure everybody stays on the ride and nobody falls off, nobody gets hurt. And we get up there, and so they start edging their way to the top end of the tilt and waiting for gravity to take over.
While you're saying this story, I don't understand. Can you tell us how people got onto it? Did you start with, so it's at an angle and it's round. So did somebody get on at the bottom at the very bottom, and then one person got on next to them, and then one person got on next to them, and then next to them.
Each time you add a person, it kind of like recenters itself according to the weight on the tilt.
So at what point does the tilt make it to the top so that it drops?
So what we do is once we had everybody on that was going to get on, then everybody slowly starts walking up the donut to get to the top.
Okay.
And so we're all holding on to each other over the middle, right? And trying to hold each other up as we're trying to get everybody to move up evenly on either side so that it doesn't go. But obviously, there's going to be points until you figure it out how to do that. It's going to go.
Right.
And the game is to figure out, if you can get everybody to the top. And then once we got everyone to the top, then it was a game of, all right, let's see who can stay up there the longest. And then people start messing around with the balance of the toy until everybody falls off. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So, our game with Tori, the girl, was to just see if we can get everybody to the top. Right. And to succeed at that before sabotaging and getting everybody off. Didn't make it to the top.
No.
It started going and 2 people jumped off, and then she just immediately fell. Like her feet went out from under her, and she just slammed down face first right onto the donut.
Oh,
right on the ride. Took 2 people out with her, and they fell. One person twisted their ankle, and she'd had like a whole side of her face was bruised for the rest of the trip.
Oh man.
And we were just like, yep, that was not a good idea. No. And that's why we don't have these in America.
For the silly teenagers.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
So
you had a person that should not have been doing something that wanted to try something.
Yeah. Story of my life, right?
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, that was my passenger, or not my passenger, was it the travel buddy?
Travel buddy.
Yeah. Story about a travel buddy.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So that's this is anyways a deck of cards. I don't know how many are in the deck. I'm assuming 52. 50. 50 prompts for campfire stories just like that.
Nice.
And so it's the unfortunate thing is I thought this was about the size of a deck of cards.
Oh yeah.
And when it came, it's double the size of a deck of cards.
Triple, quadruple.
Oh, I think is that a deck of cards? Yeah, it's a little
double.
larger than 2. So I was like, oh man, I thought I could throw this, easily in a bag, which you still can toss this fairly easily into a bag, but a deck of cards would be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a legal issue or anything, but I actually want to make a deck of cards and put prompts on it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool because then it'd be a dual purpose.
Yeah.
Like, you could play a game.
Oh, I see.
Or
so you could play card games.
You could play a card game because you have a deck. Or you could do just, hey, what's on the card?
Yeah.
Read the prompt.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So maybe we'll make some Snail Trail 4x4
playing cards now. Nice. Well, cool. So that's the gift box. Everything in it.
So I got a funny picture, and I'm sorry I forgot who sent it at this point in time, but some listeners that got a gift box sent me a photo of a Gear Wrench 10 millimeter socket, and it had a 9 millimeter socket stuck onto it, like the little sign that says, this is a Gear Wrench 10 millimeter, and that one happened to be an impact socket. Okay. And the little tag that the thing hangs on the rack. Okay. Said 10 millimeter, and the socket on it was a 9. Was a 9.
That's funny.
Yeah. Sorry.
Whoops.
But we didn't notice it. Apparently, Gear Wrench didn't notice it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of funny. He's like, I thought you guys were playing a prank on me. I'm like, nope, just random.
Yeah.
You're the lucky one. You got a bunch of 10 millimeters in the past. Now you got a 9.
Yeah, there you go. Slowly building out a set.
Yeah. Maybe we'll try that next.
Yeah. Well, cool. I don't know. Is there any other updates we can do here?
Well, as far as I know, we're still waiting for username already taken 69420 to get in touch with us. And the backup gentleman was Joe Z 60421.
Perfect.
So if you guys hear this, if your iTunes account is username already taken 69420 or Joe Z 60421, get in contact with us. Yep. You won a winch. So, and then the monthly giveaway for the Devos Light Range, or the Light Ranger, was Will Richardson. Congratulations, Will. I don't know if we've gotten in contact with you yet.
I have not reached out to him.
Okay.
I've actually talked to him about something else and forgot to mention the Devos.
He might have even been out at EJS and been busy.
Probably.
So, we'll get in contact with you, and you're not too far from us, so maybe we'll figure out a time to get that over to you.
Cool. Yeah, that's all I got for updates. We do have all of the 4-Wheel Underground brackets in.
Yes, we do.
That new update is on the beginning of every episode now. But I had an update now that Ori is not going to be able to get me in until like beginning of June.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
okay.
my my suspension install is going to be taking a little bit longer here to do.
I might get mine done before you get yours done.
Very well might. Yeah.
Yeah. I had what's it called where you not a panic attack, but when you like start getting scared, worried about something.
An anxiety attack?
Anxiety. I don't normally get anxiety attacks so much that I don't even know what the word was, you know? But the assistant said last night, because she's coming off of spring break, and she's like, only 2 more months of school. And I went, that means I have 2 months to get a house ready.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. I think we got to step up our game. And the assistant did say that over spring break, she was going to start looking at tiles and carpet and all this stuff. Did she? No. So I'm kind of like, you know, whose fault is this? We're not going to be into that house until like August. Yeah. When it's the hottest time of the year. Yeah. And I'm going to be working on a house. I did talk to Derek Miller the other day about the house because he's a contractor. And I had a question about an exterior wall with we're talking about possibly making a window larger in the house on the exterior. And there's like 2 2x4s, maybe a 4x4, and then another 2x4 all in a row next to this window. Okay. And I was kind of like, is it even possible to like make that into a window? This is also on the second story we're talking about, right? So I don't know if if it is the question, and Derek said, I don't even know if that's a 4x4. From the picture, it's easy to assume it's a 4x4, but it might be a 2x4 turned, showing it. And they have a name for that style of joint, but I don't remember what it is. But anyway, so the question is it a 4x4? And if it is, does that 4x4, is it putting the stress down to the first floor? And does it have to be there? And I'm sure there's ways to work around it, but then the question really comes into, do we want to concern ourselves with cutting a huge hole in the exterior wall, or just leave this half window? Yeah. So I don't know. Good question. Yep. I don't know. We have to figure out if it's a 4x4 first. And I haven't so Derek, if you're listening to this, I haven't gone over there to look at it yet. I did take the garbage out the other day, but that was about it. Good. Yeah. Cool. How's the frame plating and steering box coming on, Bobcat? Okay. Yeah. Good. Much better than the last update where I screwed everything up. Let's see. So I went out and I bought a 3/4 inch drill bit. Okay. And I drilled the holes through the frame. I did not. So the biggest issue, one of them was no problem, drilled straight through. The other one, the other hole, like I put a 1/8 inch like hole in the frame, like center punched it, put a 1/8 hole in there. You know, I was going to build my way up. And I did to some extent, but when I started going to a larger size, there was another hole in the frame near that 1/8 inch hole. So when I started pushing in, the drill bit slid sideways, like towards the other hole. So I stopped. So then I put, Hustle Nut said you can put the frame bracket up there and use it as like a jig. And that worked great, but I still felt that it slid over. And then from there, once I got the first hole punched on the outside of the vehicle, I mounted the whole frame like bracket up, the support bracket for the power steering. And then I drilled from the other side on the other hole. Okay. Well, those 2 holes weren't very straight. Oh. Even though the bracket was there and tight and set up. So I had to do some grinding of the ISO. I had to do some grinding to line the holes up. I ground away. My logic was I'm going to grind away the plate that I'm adding on. Okay. Because then when I weld everything together, there's going to be a ever so slightly small gap, and I will be able to get the weld into that gap onto the piece of tubing that goes through the frame, the support, and onto the bracket on the exterior. Okay. I didn't weld anything until Hussman showed up because I wanted to make sure it all worked right. And he's like, you can't do that. Like, why? Yeah. And so I'm saying my idiot fault because I'm like trying to explain it for others out there. Right. His logic. Well, the first thing, which I didn't even think about, which is probably pretty obvious, is that the bolt's not very straight at this point because I was able to get the sleeve through the frame, but it wasn't through the bracket. So I had to grind the bracket out.
Okay.
So the sleeve isn't straight. So that means when I put the power steering box on there, the bolt wouldn't really be able to go through the power steering box and through the sleeve because it's at an angle.
Okay.
The other thing that he said that I never would have thought of was it doesn't matter. The sleeve isn't the structural thing. It's the brackets on the exterior. The sleeves are just helping. They are a semi-structural side, but they're mainly to help you get the bolts through. And when you weld everything up, that's what tightens it all together.
Interesting. Okay.
So having the sleeve loose in the frame, like if you grind the frame hole larger, the sleeve can be loose and wiggle wherever you need it. And then when you weld the bracket on, everything becomes tight. And you're not relying on the frame to hold the sleeve in.
Okay.
The bracket is welded, the sleeve's welded to the bracket's welded to your frame.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that the hole on the frame is larger.
Yeah. Correct.
So
that makes sense.
Right. And so I just didn't think that way. And when he explained it, I was like, that makes sense. And it's these little things like he's so much more of a fabricator than I am that my way made sense. Like I'll just grind this away and then when I weld it, it'll all be buttoned together.
Yeah.
But when he explains it, it doesn't matter how large the frame hole is because when you weld everything together, you're now tightening it all together in one unit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
And the fact that now the bolt can go straight through the power steering box, through the sleeve and out the other side made things a lot nicer.
Yeah.
My problem was I had a Dremel. I was augering the hole wider, but I didn't have like a carbide bit. I only had like the little sandpapers.
Yeah.
So it took a while.
It took a long time.
It took a long time to do that.
Yeah.
Got it together, painted it, and then and continued to paint it. I haven't yet by this point when the episode releases, hopefully it's all back together because I'm in Moab.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, like a week or a few days before I leave, I'm leaving a week from today. The power steering box isn't on the frame yet because I've just been doing every once in a while, I just throw more paint on it.
Okay.
And then we took the tie rod off because the tie rod is bent. And the Hussman from his yard was able to snag a 1.25 inch diameter, exterior diameter, 0.25, a quarter inch wall. Okay. And the benefit of that is then all you need to do is tap that tube and then the FJ80 tie rod ends can thread right into it.
Okay.
I, for the life of me, cannot find anybody that has the tap for that tube. Yeah. Marlin's the only people that I've found that had it. And I said, can I send my tube down to you? They go, sorry, we don't do custom work like that. I'm like, I have a tube that's cut to 41.5 inches. That's exactly what you guys spec. Yeah. But I, and it's ready to be tapped. I just don't have the tap. He's like, yeah, we don't do that, but you can buy one off of our website.
The tap?
No.
Oh, the tie rod?
A tie rod.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, well, let's see how much it is. And it's like $112 or $130 or something like that. It's like, okay, well, I need to get this done. So I threw it in the cart. It won't show up until May 10th.
Wow.
Like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that got me. So I'm kind of in the mindset at this point because I've not figured out exactly what I'm going to do yet. I'm probably going to order a right-hand thread tap off of Amazon and it'll show up tomorrow. Okay. So I might right-hand thread tap the tube on both ends. Okay. Which would sort of suck. Yeah. Because then you can't just turn the tube and change your alignment.
Turn the tie rods.
I got to turn a tie rod.
Or the end.
Yeah. The tie rod end. And align it that way. But then at least I can get this done. But then I'm thinking about buying a left-hand thread and more or less marketing myself to everybody in the Sacramento area that I have these taps. And if anybody needs to do this, I have the solution. Yeah. Because the tap is $25 for the right-hand thread and then like $70 for the left-hand thread. Yeah. And the left-hand thread one won't show up until we're getting home from Moab.
Okay. And why didn't you want to do bungs?
Because I already have the tube. I mean, I can. Okay. So the thing I could do I could go to Rough Stuff, buy the bungs, and buy another piece of. Then I think I buy an 1.5 inch one.
I think it's 1.5 inch.
120?
120 and 1/8 wall would be my guess.
1/8 wall or something like that. I don't know what exactly the size is, but I can go buy 2 bungs, buy the bigger tube, and it would work. And then I might still do that as a thing to get me on the road here soon. I don't know. I either need to buy the tap today, or I'm going to go buy all those parts to get that together. My thing is I already had the tube.
Yeah.
So all I need is the taps.
Yeah.
And I have tie rods. So I just needed to tap this thing and I'm ready to roll.
Yeah.
And now I'm having to buy more tube and these bungs, you know? So, I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm also, and this is very petty, I don't like the look of a fatter tie rod tube and the skinnier drag link. Or panhard bar link, what drag link, right? Link. Yeah. So for whatever that is, I mean, maybe I will even get that to just get me up, to get the bigger 1.5 inch tube to get me rolling, and then later I fix it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, which would probably not true. I probably have more trail fixes on that rig that are still there.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at on there.
Okay.
We threw on we took off the rear wheels and we went to look at the calipers from Rough Stuff, the El Camino calipers that have
the parking brake calipers.
Have a parking brake built into the caliper disc brake setup.
Okay.
HustleNet said these things are way too big for my application.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's entirely true, but the logic was that the gap between the pads is almost like 2 inches.
Oh,
right. And my caliper I have in the rear is the 85 series or older non-vented rotors.
Yeah.
Right. So they're
0.81, I believe.
Okay. I was going to say 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
So they're barely over 3/4 of an inch, right? They're not thick.
Yeah.
And so much, the question really to me is, can the caliper fully compress? Like, does that cylinder have enough throw in it to fully get the pads together? Because if then yeah, it could probably work. The other thing that is kind of interesting is that and I don't know how people have done this in the past. If anybody has, please let me know. It looks like the way to run the e-brake is to have an e-brake cable come parallel to the frame straight down to the caliper. Because the way that it compresses is it has a spring. You like stick the cable up through the spring and attach it to the top side. And then it looks like the spring is supposed to be tensioned straight, like forward parallel to the frame.
Okay.
And that's how it compresses. Where the Toyota setups, they usually are at the 90 degrees off, come down to the axle, turn parallel to then the axle. And that would be a 90-degree turn straight up into that e-brake setup.
Yeah.
So we kind of wrote off those as a possibility for an e-brake.
Okay.
So the Willwoods didn't really fit because there's nowhere to put them on
with the leaf spring.
Yeah, with the leaf springs. The Rough Stuff ones don't look like it's going to be an easy solution. Could work if the brake caliper could fully seat onto my rotors, because my guess is those things are designed for like what's the thickness of your rotor?
1 1/4.
Yeah. See, that would be much better for mine. I'm a whole, like almost 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch shorter than that.
Yeah.
So, and the e-brake, which is the whole reason I'm doing this, looks like it should be parallel to, or like with my leaf springs or with a link setup that we might have. So we're writing both of those off right now.
Okay.
So I'm going to install a line lock.
Yeah.
That's what it's coming down to.
Yeah.
And HustleNuts is changing his drivetrain on his buggy, and he's putting in an automatic. And so he's like, I don't really need a line lock anymore. If I'm ever going to stop, I'm just going to put it in park.
Yeah.
I said, okay. And he's like, so you can have my line lock. And if I really ever need a line lock again, and I want to have a parking brake, you can buy me a line lock. And I said, deal.
Cool.
So I've yet to go pick it up, but that's my goal for tomorrow, which is Wednesday, before we take off, is to install a line lock.
Nice.
Yep. And then I'm hoping that I'll either buy back to the tie rod. Another thought of that I've had is my tie rod is only slightly bent.
Mm-hmm.
I might just throw the same one back in.
I think that would work. Your tie rod is fine, or you could try and pull a Lee limb and straighten it out. And I think that would be fine. Like the one that is probably going to need to get changed, I don't know if it does, is going to be your drag link.
The drag link's fine.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So it ended up in the right position to have the correct length.
I'm going to need to extend it.
Okay.
But I haven't done that yet because I haven't put the power steering box on.
Gotcha. So yeah, my guess is you're going to have to build a new drag link to extend it or do something to extend it. But the tie rod should all be the same measurement still.
Yeah. Well, it's slightly less because it's bent.
Well, but your need for whatever your tie rod needs to be should be, there's no change between your knuckles.
Correct.
So
correct.
Yeah.
I'll take a measurement on I already pulled out the ball joint, so I can't, or the tie rod end that went into the pitman arm. I'll see. I'm curious to see if I can figure out where the drag link length was.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I can measure how dirty the ball or tie rod end was and add that in together.
Yeah.
And then see, since I moved it forward towards the front of the vehicle and up ever so slightly, but I'm still using a semi-dropped pitman arm. How much does that drag link change?
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of curious about.
Exactly.
I'm really only guessing it's going to change about a ½ inch.
My guess is, ½ inch to an inch would be my guess. I was thinking about 1.
So I guess the question really does come down to is, do I have enough threads in those tie rod ends to extend that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point. I didn't necessarily think about that. I think I do. I think I would.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. The other thing about the tie rod is that you're going to have to set up your RAM again.
Yes.
Your
and that's another reason. So I've spoke to Morgan at Sidetracked.
Mm-hmm.
He has a weld-on system for 1.25 inches.
Okay.
He has the clamps for 1.5 inches.
Okay.
So, because I asked if he had a clamp for 1.25 inches, and he said no.
Yeah.
But he's like, but I got him for 1.5 inches. But so if I do the larger tie rod, I can get the clamp style, if that matters.
Yeah.
Or he has the weld-on style for the smaller size, which is currently what I have.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I don't really have to worry about is setting the rod or the mount for my hydro assist because it's already there.
Exactly.
So I might just do that
for the trip to get everything running for Cruise Moab.
Yeah.
And then when you get back, make it the way you want it
and put an actual one in there.
Yeah.
Buy the taps. Be the only one in the Sacramento area that has these taps.
Yep.
I asked, I went to Rough Stuff. I went to Hot Metal Fab. I called Stellar Built. I called Cruiser or Valley Hybrids.
Okay.
I called I emailed. I DM'd on Instagram Cali Fab. I talked to Morgan. I called Patriot 4x4. I looked for Hunter's 4x4 on Google, and it's on Google. It says it's permanently closed.
Huh.
So I don't know if they closed or not, but I couldn't get a hold of them. So yeah, I called the Napa machinist.
Okay.
I called there's a machinist tool supply company in Rancho. I called them and they didn't have either of the taps. They said that they could get me the right hand thread in a matter of days, but the left hand thread would probably be a few weeks. So I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Didn't know it's so hard to get these.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big tap. Let's be honest, 23 millimeters.
Yeah.
So it is a large tap. Nobody really has it. I don't know if, Marlin, I don't know if they machine it, like they machine the grooves in or if they actually have the tap, but I don't know. I spoke to, Stellar Built and they said that they have a lot of people calling them, asking them if they have that tap. But they always refer people to do the bungs and a bigger tube. And that, Rough Stuff said they pretty much have gotten rid of all their metric things and they're all 1 ton now.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think it's just it would be an interesting, a unique thing that I could have that nobody else really seems to have.
Yeah. Send in your tie rods. I'll tap them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's I would not have guessed that you would have had that much trouble finding those taps.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess normally it's a thing that you just buy done.
Yeah.
And people don't make it themselves.
Hmm.
So that's my tie rod dilemma.
Mhm.
There might be a slight dilemma. We'll find out here in the future for my drag link.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a line lock.
Mm-hmm.
I also, so here's a funny little story. So I got my reverse lights working.
Okay.
So I didn't have the plug for the reverse light. The wire was broken off, similar to your 4x4 story. So I stole the plug from Dave when I gave, Hussman sold him a transmission that he wasn't going to be needing anymore. And I stole the plug off of that.
Mm-hmm.
So then I wired up the plug. The wires were hanging down. They're on the wrong side of the transmission. I was like, that's odd. Like, why are they over here?
Mm-hmm.
So I cut the wires, I extended them, and then I put I had to make my own plug because the plug wires weren't the same.
Yep.
The connectors weren't the same. And so I cut those off, made my own plug, plugged it all in, jumped in Bobcat, turned it to ACC, turned the lights on, put it in reverse. I don't know why I turned the lights on if it mattered, but went to the back and the lights weren't on. I was like, what? So I jumped back in the truck and I was looking and my 4-wheel drive was on. The 4-wheel drive light.
So you put in the 4-wheel drive sensor?
I plugged in the 4-wheel drive. The wires that I connected were the 4-wheel drive sensor.
That's funny.
I was like, dang it. Okay. So where are the wires? Where's the connector?
Yeah.
And so I started just laying under the rig and looking at I was on the creeper sliding from one side to the other, looking at the wires. And I'm like, where is this? Where's the wires? And then eventually I saw this split in the loom and the split went to one side and then split and went onto the top of the transmission. And then I whirled to the other side and I didn't see it. So I was like, well, let me follow that wire.
Yeah.
So then I followed the wire and then it just went to a plug and that wasn't plugged into anything, but it was up, just
on
looped
top of,
over the top of the transmission.
Nice. Okay.
So then I took that down, cut the plug off, put my plug on that I needed, plugged it up, lights worked. But now I think I have a long enough extension on the 4-wheel drive one to reach the 4-wheel drive adapter in the back.
Nice.
So I can know when I'm in 4-wheel drive.
There you go.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so got the rear lights working. So that's my success story for the week is I actually got something done.
Yeah.
The rear suspension is done.
Nice.
I'm going to line lock, and then I have a few things that I'm going to need to button up in the front. After talking with you, I'm liking the idea of possibly just putting in the old tie rod, adjusting the alignment a hair, and then figuring out the drag link, and then that's done. Yeah. Well, and then I got to plumb it. Yeah. And put fluid in.
Plumb it and bleed it. Yeah.
So my next big thing, which I'm probably going to do for me tomorrow, is going to be the line lock and get that going. And Hussman's like, I already know how to do it. I did it on Ruth, his old truck that we talked about. More or less, he removes the pole handle for where the e-brake is in the Toyotas, and he put the button there.
Oh, okay.
And and then you wire where the cable comes out through the firewall. You just put the two lines of the line lock in there. Like pretty much you go straight out of the master cylinder. You go into the line lock around the, around and down and through the frame or firewall and to the line lock and then back. And then you tie it into the original brake system. Yeah. So, it's 2 foot long lines.
Yep.
So it's not very long. It's not a whole lot of change.
Yeah.
And then, we'll just do the rear brakes. And
that should work out really well. I really like line locks. If I didn't have to sometimes park the 4Runner overnight at my in-laws' house, which is a very steep driveway, I would probably do line locks.
Sure.
But
if you're parking your vehicle overnight, you're usually leaving it in gear anyway.
Yes.
An e-brake is the solution for a manual that wants to keep their engine running, but not have their vehicle move. Right. Yeah. So
for the most part. Yeah.
Where we have low enough gearing, if we park on a cliff, we can be in low and it won't move.
Yeah, true.
So, this is really, for the most part, this is just a solution to get through tech.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm doing it.
Gotcha.
For, so
nice. Well,
Okay.
cool. How's the new welder?
New welder is nice.
Isn't it great?
Oh, wow. It burns hot.
Mm-hmm.
Burns really hot.
Mm-hmm.
I said it burnt hot. And then husband came over when we started welding the plate on. He's like, well, let's lower it. And then I started lowering it and it was sputtering on the frame. And he's like, okay, well, we need to turn it back up a little bit. I just don't know how to weld very well, I think is kind of part of it. Because husband jumped in there and he started welding. He's like, no, this is great. And I think I don't know if I'm used to flux and how flux reacts and flux works. And moving to not flux and just having, I don't know what, a gas shielded MIG welder is, I'm just watching for some of the wrong key moments to start pulling or moving the puddle.
Yeah.
A lot of what I'm learning is I don't necessarily need to watch for the heat and the liquid magma or lava, I guess it's in the air, of the puddle before I start trying to pull the puddle. Because I didn't really get gummy worms, but I had very thick welds.
Yeah.
And husband was just like, no, you just need to move sooner and move faster. And I don't know when that point is yet. I haven't welded enough with that machine or a MIG for the most part to understand that point.
Yeah.
And so it's just a little bit of a learning curve, but it worked fantastic. There, I filled there was like the frame brackets went like halfway covered some holes. And so I would fill some of the holes, and that was a feat that I could never do with flux core.
Nope.
But with, gas shielded, it would, just do a small curve here, a small curve there, a few tacks and the holes filled. There's a really big hole near the front. That's like a square hole, and every Toyota frame has it up in the front. We put we put a bolt head in there. We like cut the bolt head off, stuck that in there, and then I filled it up. And that was, something I probably,
it's like 3D printing with metal. It's
kind of, yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I did there's a few places on the frame. Like if you were really going to sit down and inspect my welds on that bracket, there's a few spots where I did multiple passes because like the first pass I was too heavy on the bracket. And then the second pass, I went more on the frame. Right. And so that, it just was more of a learning curve. There was a big learning curve from going from welder to welder. And there's a learning curve from going from flux to, a MIG.
Yep.
So I think anyways, ignore the semantics of whatever flux is technically MIG. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, so there was some learning in using a new welder and changing styles of welding that I was playing with on this bracket.
Yeah.
I got fairly decent at it by the end. And also a lot of the welds were on a vertical.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So you're learning this all on a vertical too. Okay.
Right. And there was a point when husband's like, we can just grab some scrap metal and you can practice. I'm like, no, let's just keep going. And almost all the welds, there was 2 long strips on the top, which you're at a weird angle because now you're trying to fit between the bracket and there's no easy way to stick your head in there to look at it.
Yeah.
So those are almost flying blind. All of the ones on the vertical were easy to see, but now you're on a vertical. And then there was some on the underside of the frame that I had to weld up. So it wasn't the easiest welding either.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's laughing at me out there, but as going from a one welder to another, from one style to another, and not doing easy direction welding, it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm excited.
You just need to sit there and run some beads now and just kind of get used to how the metal flows and what the timing should be on your movements.
Yeah. So. That, and, I still need to learn a lot of, I'm welding on an edge here of this piece of metal and in the flat of this piece of metal. So I should be concentrating on putting more heat in this direction than that direction. And
yeah, because it's a bigger piece of metal. It needs more heat. And
I just, as much as we talk and love Hustle Nuts, I just need to have him come over with his helmet or hood or whatever you guys call it and sit there and critique my welding while I'm doing it.
Nice. Yeah. That'd be fun. I'd be interested.
Yeah.
So, cool, man. Is that it? You got any more fun updates? Any more fun things you're up to?
Oh, not so much. For us, Easter was only a few days ago. For you guys, it was over a week or so, but I had a good time on Easter. Just spent time. My parents are over in Europe right now. So I've been taking care of their house and, my house and the assistant's house. And so, but we had a fun time on Easter. We, since my parents were out of town, it was we didn't have to compete with family things going on. And so we spent time with the assistants, family. We went there for brunch. And then we went to my brother's in-laws house for dinner.
Okay.
So, and my brother's in-laws my brother's been married for over 10 years and their in-laws are very inclusive. Is that the correct word? Everybody is family. Like,
inclusive. That's right.
They even have, so their daughter got married, got divorced, is now remarried, but the gentleman that she was divorced to has been remarried and comes to the party.
Wow.
And brings his family.
Yeah.
His other family.
All
now
right.
they have a kid, brings his new wife, brings his dad.
Wow.
Like, and so it's like they're so welcoming that it doesn't matter. If you're somehow connected to the family, you're welcome to join them.
That's funny.
Yeah, That's pretty neat.
Cool. So, I got to go out and play with a tracked Tacoma.
I know. I'm excited to hear about that.
I got to go and, well, really the way this all started was, a buddy, has a cabin up near the Rubicon, right?
Yeah.
And, he needed to go check on it and check the snow load, make sure that the roof is still in a triangular shape.
Right.
And,
it's not horizontal.
It's not horizontal or inverted anymore, or inverted. So, the last time we were in there, we went in during the Rubicon closure to check on it.
Yes.
And so, that was, we didn't make it in, or he made it in because he rode with Dimitri in the track Tacoma. And then me and John Arns were not able to make it in.
Got it. Okay.
And John's running, the 42-inch IROCs, the 4150s, and I'm on the 40-inch Geolanders on Kermit. And John and I weren't able to make it in. And so, our buddy was like, hey, do you want to see if you can get Dimitri to come back out and see if we can make it into the cabin again? I was like, sure, I can ask him. So I asked Dimitri and he goes, no, sorry, I'm going to be out of town.
It was his birthday weekend.
It was his birthday weekend.
Yeah,
so
happy birthday, Dimitri.
Yep. His birthday is a day after mine.
Yeah.
So,
and he's only 21. Can you believe that?
I know, right?
Wow.
So I think next year we're going to try and put together a joint birthday party.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And then we'll have to see if Dave can get there too. So
yeah, right.
Forerunner Dave.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he said that he was going to be out of town, but then he said, if you want to take the Tacoma, go for it. And I was like,
don't tease me.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. No, don't even play around like that.
I can't believe he would even offer.
Right. So,
he must have much more trust in you than I do.
I guess so. Or more money than he knows what to do with. And he's
like,
waiting
go
for
ahead
someone
and
to
break
bring
it.
it. Yeah.
I'll just buy it again.
Yeah. And so I was like, you're serious? He goes, yeah, I'm serious. And I was like, all right, I'm coming over Thursday morning before you change your mind.
I'm on my way right now.
Yeah. So I ran over there, picked up the Tacoma, and he kind of gave me some tips about tracked wheeling, right? And so our original plan was I was going to go into the Tacoma and my buddy was going to take his side-by-side because he has a 4-door JK that's terrible in snow wheeling. And so he's going to take his side-by-side and he's never taken it in the snow before. So he's like, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So I'm like,
the buddy that has the cabin.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's just going to be us two.
Yeah.
And so,
that escalated quickly.
It escalated very quickly. So we have this a group text on Instagram between, I think you and me are in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nick Bailey, Avalanche Technical, is in it.
Yep.
And Frosty Four-Wheeler,
Yep.
Alex and Jenna
Yep.
are in it. And Tony is in it as well.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know his last name. I know of Tony because of this group.
Okay.
Apparently he loves going out winter wheeling in his side-by-side. That's like one of the things that he absolutely loves doing.
Okay.
So this group was originally put together because we were going to go and try and get the Jeep up on the Rubicon that's under the snow right now.
Yes.
And then the whole Wentworth Springs extraction happened with Mudrack. Thank you, Gary Mudrack. And we weren't able to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that storm hit, the Jeep was under too much snow to really try and get in and do it. We've been having to wait for the storms to stop so that we could start making tracks in. And anyway, so we have this group together and we're always talking about, the stuff that Alex is doing over in Mammoth with his bigger recoveries, some of the stuff that Nick does.
Yeah. And Alex and Nick have even gone out to do the same recoveries to help figure things out because there are some big recoveries going on.
Yep. Some big recoveries this year, a lot of winter issues going on with vehicles, right? And so both those guys, pretty much everybody in this group is big time winter wheelers.
Except for me.
Except for you, yeah.
I think Wheel Every Weekend's in that group too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Ian's in that group as well. And so,
me and Ian aren't the winter wheelers.
Yeah. And so, they were talking about going up and playing around and doing some winter camping on the Rubicon for like 5 days.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, since you guys are talking about going up there and being in the area, you guys just want to come over here to this area with me on Saturday? And they were like, yeah, sure. And that was like Friday night that they all finally were like, yeah,
agreed.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, met everybody, over near Airport Flat. And,
so who all showed up?
It was me in the Track Tacoma, Derek's in that group as well.
Oh, okay.
Derek, I don't remember Derek's last name, but I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure he was on Ultimate Adventure 2022.
Yes.
So, okay.
That Derek from Total Off-Road, right? No,
this is Derek. He has a Tahoe, a Chevy Tahoe. That's really built.
Different guy then. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So he has an Ultimate Adventure windshield tag, Ultimate Adventure decals all over the rig, and an Ultimate Adventure shirt as well. So I assume he was on the Ultimate Adventure 2022. Anyways, I didn't end up talking and asking him questions about that, but he has tracks for his Tahoe.
Okay.
So he was on tracks. His tracks were more like dirt agriculture tracks though, rather than like snowmobile rubber belts.
Yeah. I saw there was like an AT tire versus, what do you want to call the
mud terrain
scooping like paddle tire. Yeah. That was what I'm looking for.
So yeah, he had like all terrain tracks essentially. And the tracks on the Tacoma are literally snowmobile belts, right?
Okay.
And so, so we were both on tracks. Nick Bailey brought out his quad on tracks. And then Alex and Jenna brought out their buggy on the 49-inch IROX.
Oh, that's who that was. Okay. I'm in this text thread and I'm seeing all these photos and I don't know who was who. Okay. Yeah.
So Alex and Jenna had the buggy on the 49s. And then there was the two side-by-sides.
Got it.
Okay. And Tony was on 35s on his side-by-side. And Tom was on his 33s. Like they were pretty much like 33-inch Maxxis Trepidors. Like that's the style of tire they were.
Okay.
So anyways, that's our group. Most everybody there was big time winter wheelers. They love being out in the winter in the snow and wheeling. And Tom was like, I don't like snow that much.
Yeah. I just want to get to the cabin. I just want to
get to the cab, make sure it's okay. And so we started going out and I had never driven a tracked vehicle before. So I kind of hung out in the back of the pack for the first hour. And then, Alex and Jenna were out front with the 49s. And then Nick was just kind of like running all over the place.
Yeah. Some of the videos were just him passing everybody, filming. Yeah.
Yep. And so Nick was just kind of on his own, running around, having a good time. And then it got to the point where there was a couple of, I don't want to say washouts because it's not a washout in the road. We were on a paved road, but it was just snow drifts, right? They would just drop down 7 feet and then you'd have to climb back up 7 feet, like within the width of a vehicle. And so, Alex in the 49s was having troubles getting up the snow drifts. And, after the first couple of snow drifts, he was having trouble. The side-by-sides are having trouble. The Tahoe on tracks, the all-terrain tracks was having trouble, but the Tacoma was just walking through everything.
Oh, cool.
And I think it really was the difference of the ground pressure from the tracks and then having the actual snow treads.
Sure.
Because they just grabbed on. I had traction on everything.
And maybe to some extent, because you had two vehicles on tracks, but yeah, one was like a snow track and one was an all-terrain tire style. But the Tacoma weighs a third less than the Tahoe.
I don't know how much it weighs. I don't know. I don't know the weight comparison of the Tahoe. I don't know. I didn't see how much stuff Derek carries with him in the Tahoe.
Okay.
but I don't know. It felt like the Tacoma was heavier than the 4Runner, my 4Runner towing it.
Okay.
So I don't know. And I still haven't weighed the 4Runner to know how much the 4Runner weighs. Right. So, it was, ground pressure was nothing. I was able to go anywhere I wanted. And after the second snowdrift or so, they had me get out in front because I wasn't having any issues. And so I cut new tracks, fresh tracks for everybody. And we're up on, at some points, 12 feet of snow, 15 feet of snow.
Cool.
Which was a lot of fun. And then we finally got to a point where, we couldn't go any further.
And why was that?
There was a really, really big hole in the middle of the road. It was like a three-way intersection in the road where you're coming up on the main road and then there's a split to the left, a split to the right. We need to go to the right to head up towards the cabin area. And the whole Y of the road where the split happens was just water running through it from the snow melt.
Yeah.
And so there was no snow there. And we're up on 12, 15 feet of snow.
Okay. So it was more or less a 12-foot cliff.
12, 15-foot cliff straight down to the pavement, and then 12, 15-foot cliff out of the pavement. And so the benefit to wheels going snow wheeling is that they can just drop down into holes.
Correct.
And then if you can get the front end up on the other side, then you can winch yourself out.
Sure. Okay.
The tracks cannot do that. The tracks, if they drop down in a hole, they like to invert.
Right.
And if you try and hit a snow wall on the other side to climb, if you don't get those tracks moving upwards, and a wall would invert them and you'd get them up into your bumper and everything and your fender, they won't work. But a lot of times what tracks will do is if they don't start climbing, they dig and then they just dig down. So they will just dig you into a poor spot.
Got it. Okay.
And so if we wanted to get the tracked vehicles through that spot, we were going to have to shovel in ramps to get the vehicles down in the hole and then back up out.
Got it.
And so at that time, we were just like, and Nick had flown on ahead to see if he could make it up to the cabin. And so we're sitting there trying to figure out how to get across this hole, this chasm. And so we sent Alex down into the hole in the buggy.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a great shot of him coming down into the hole. And it just looks like he's on like 37, 38s on this buggy going down the hole. And those are 49-inch tires.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going down. It's just, it
doesn't look like as big as a drop because of how massive the vehicle is.
The drop is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and while we had Alex down there, we were going to try and have him get himself out. So, and hoping that in him trying to get out, he would end up kind of like cutting a ramp with his tires.
Sure.
He couldn't get out.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so after trying for about 15, 20 minutes or so, he goes, well, I guess I'm living down here for a while. And so, right around that time, we started figuring out where we could get his front end up. That would be a good spot to winch him out. Nick showed back up and he goes, yeah, I think I made it all the way down to the cabin.
Okay.
But I couldn't find the cabin anywhere.
Sure.
And so we're like,
makes sense.
Well,
it's covered.
It's covered. Yeah, it's probably covered. So, we're like, do you know what? Do you mind taking another trip down and take Tom with you on the quad? And then that way you guys he knows where it is. So you guys can find it and get some eyes on it and make sure it's all good. So they did that. And while they were out doing that, we worked on getting Alex out of the hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we got Alex out of the hole. And then, we kind of hung around for a little bit. And then, Nick radioed back to us, said, hey, we found the cabin. Everything looks good. We're on our way back. So everybody else left. And me and Sean, Morphlate Sean, came out with me that day. We hung out and stayed there until Tom and Nick got back. And then we all took off and went back down to get off the snow and load up and head out.
Sounds like fun.
So it was a lot of fun. The neat thing to me was that a lot of times when I go snow wheeling, I'm with other people that...
Rookies.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
They need more coaching, right?
Rookies, yeah.
Yeah. And so I spend a lot of my time out of the rig, trying to find ways to get people pulled backwards because they get themselves dug down to the hole or winching or whatever. And this group was a lot of fun to be with because it was, if anybody did get stuck, which there was times when I think almost all the vehicles needed pulls at some point. Everybody knew what to do.
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't like a, hey, let's, here's our options. What do you want to do with your vehicle kind of thing? Everyone just kind of jumped up and was like, okay, yeah, let's hook. Without talking or discussing it, everybody was doing the right thing.
Sure.
And so it was really fun. Tony got himself fell in a couple holes with his side-by-side and ended up with, one tire way up in the air. A couple times, Alex got himself dug down once. And I
saw a video of Alex just literally sliding off the berm that you guys were on or whatever, and just down like into a tree well.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably on our, I don't think that one's been released yet, but was he able to get himself out of that, or did he need to get pulled out of that?
That one he was able to get out of.
Wow.
Barely though. I mean, it was like a foot of slush and then soft powder sugar underneath.
Yeah.
So it was,
he started just ever so slightly. You guys were on this like berm, this mound of snow, and it fell down on both sides of you.
And it was barely wide enough for the vehicles to get through.
Yeah. And he started creeping ever so slightly ahead. And then all of a sudden he stops, and then the whole rig slides off sideways, the wrong direction. You don't want to slide that way down this berm. And I'm like, oh, he's going to roll.
Yeah.
It didn't roll.
No.
He just stopped in the snow. And I was like, F, that's scary right there. But
you should have seen him. I'm pretty sure that was him. Was that going down, or was that on him coming back out? I think that might've been him trying to come back out. Because when we went through that to begin with, as we're heading out to the cabin, he didn't even try and like stay on top of that berm. He just started by going down into the hole and riding it at an angle off camber the whole way through.
So he screwed himself up earlier because now he had tracks off to the side.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what it got. But
Dang you,
when he went through the second time and slid off, he destroyed the berm in a couple spots, so the tracked vehicles could no longer go through that.
Oh no!
And so we literally had to rebuild the berm with shovels and shoveling snow.
Yeah,
in order to get the tracked vehicles through.
Jeez.
So, but it was fun because everybody knew what needed to be done.
Right.
And just there was very little discussion about it and trying to figure out what needed to be done. Everyone just started doing it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You got somebody stuck and you're like, okay, well, obviously you're going to hook up that way and get pulled back, or obviously I'll just yank you forward real quick, and we'll just keep going.
Yep.
You guys could you all knew how to read the snow. You all knew how to pull a vehicle. You all knew
how to do rigging, where to hook up at, different strategies for what strategy was going to work the best. And it was like intuitive, and it was fun.
You're with two of the most experienced, I'm going to go there, most experienced winter recovery people in California.
Yep.
And maybe three if we want to throw Jenna in there.
Yeah. Right.
But you're with these, they're part of their living is to go out and do snow recoveries for people that need it.
Yeah.
And you're with them, so they knew immediately what to do. I guess Nick didn't really have a recovery rig, but he was probably there whenever somebody needed help, and he'd move the straps or do whatever needed to happen.
He was great with the knowledge about running tracks on a vehicle.
Yes, I want to get into that.
Yeah, because there was one point when I was really worried about trying to climb up out of a snow berm and inverting the track or digging in. And so instead there was barely enough space for me to like skirt the snow berm, but in skirting the snow berm, and as I was trying to come back into the middle of the road, there was a snow tunnel where the water was draining underneath the snow, and my right rear, so the passenger rear track broke down into that tunnel. And then I was there, and the track was like going to go inverted if I went forwards or backwards.
Okay.
And so trying to figure out how to maneuver that situation on tracks was awesome to have Nick there and kind of explain what was going on and what you needed to be careful of and know about and do in order to get yourself out of that situation.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I want to know though, so you've done all kinds of snow wheeling in Kermit with various different tires.
Yep.
and this is your first time in a rig that isn't yours and it's on tracks. But what would you say are some of the major differences between tracks and tires?
The big thing is ground pressure. You float on everything. And since you're floating up on everything and you have more ground clearance, you're not getting hung up. Like your diffs are not dragging in the snow. You're never dragging anything. There's not that extra drag on your drivetrain.
Sure.
So like the 4Runner, even though it's on 40s and has 8-inch Toyota axles, I'll still get myself in situations where I'm dragging diffs. As soon as you're dragging a diff, you need more traction from the tires in order to keep going.
Right. Okay.
If you can keep everything up out of the snow, then yeah, for the most part, you don't need a ton of traction. But with tracks, and especially snowmobile tread tracks, you not only keep everything up out of the snow, so it's super easy on all your drivetrain components and your engine and overheating that we've talked about having issues in the snow. It's so much easier on that. And then you add in that you have good traction tracks and it just goes anywhere.
That's cool.
Yeah. The big thing that I learned though, is that tracks are not the answer.
Okay.
For snow wheeling. They help a ton. They are, in my opinion, they're better than tires, but there's still situations that you need to have tires in order to get through.
Sure. Okay.
Like,
so they're not the end all, right? They're not the perfect solution. There's situations when tires are great and there's situations when tracks are great. Yeah. Tracks are great a lot of times, but there's times when you need tires.
Yes. And it's not, and you wouldn't think that would be the case. Like you think of building up a vehicle for off-roading, you're kind of making the vehicle better where there's situations that you can do a lot more now. And there's other things that maybe the vehicle's not so good at, but it can still do it. Like if you're building a rock crawler with air shocks, you're probably not going to drive it on the road very often.
Right.
But it can still do it.
Right. Or go over a ton of whoops. It could still get there and do those things, but it's not what it's designed for, right? It's not, but you can still do it if you needed to. But if
with
you have tracks,
there are stuff you cannot do. And vice versa with tires, there's stuff you cannot do with tires in the snow. So it's kind of like, it's an interesting thing where it's not like, yeah, tracks do everything great. And then the other things that tires do well, the tracks, you can do them. They just don't do them well. It's literally the things that tires do are the things that tracks cannot do. And the things that tracks do are things that tires cannot do.
Right.
So it's a really interesting situation where in order to really have, in my opinion, the perfect group for outing would be a bunch of vehicles on tracks and one vehicle on big ass tires and with zero approach and departure angles.
Yeah.
So a buggy.
Right.
So
I'm thinking in my mind, if there's a way to make sort of round, like it's counterintuitive, right? A rounded track, so that you can get, so it can do some climbs or drops.
Yeah.
But then you're losing the footprint, spreading that load, the weight out. So you need tracks that can change.
Kinda, yeah. You almost need changing tracks. And like the tracks that Nick has on his 4Runner, he didn't have the 4Runner out there.
Right.
But he specifically had Ruby Tracks build the front bogey wheel way up so that he has a good approach angle on the tracks and they don't dig down as he approaches snow walls or snow drifts or something. But even still, the problem with his is if they go up too much, then he's going to invert them and get them up into his fenders, into his body, anything like that. So like maybe a super high bogey approach wheel on a buggy where you don't have to worry. Like you can invert the track and spin it around the hub all you want. And it doesn't hit anything on your body.
That'd be interesting.
That may be the answer. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but that's interesting to hear that it's like, it's awesome and it works great. And it probably surpasses a tire, but it's not the perfect solution.
Yeah.
Like you still need tires at some points.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like I would go out. I'd be more willing to go snow wheeling by myself in a tired rig than a tracked rig, I think. Just because if you come up on a gnarly snow drift, you can't do it in tracks. You're done. Whereas like at least a tire, you can still do it and keep going until you just can't stay on top of the snow anymore.
Right. But you probably you might not get to that snowdrift if you're in tires.
That's true. There's that. Yeah.
Where if you're in the tracks, you can make it.
Yeah.
Say you can make it twice as far. I don't, just throwing a number out.
Yeah. That's an interesting, I don't know.
Like how far do you think you would have got if you were just in the buggy?
I think we would have made it to the giant hole, just would have taken a lot longer. Like we were going fairly slow when the buggy was out front.
Okay.
As soon as I got out front, I was able to cruise in third, fourth gear, cutting new tracks. No problem.
Cool.
So we're able to fly down the trail and keep things moving a little quicker. But I don't know.
So once you cut tracks through those berms, was the buggy able to go through them pretty easy?
Yeah. Yeah. The buggy just bombed down the trail once, he wasn't having to cut fresh tracks anymore.
Got it.
But yeah, I don't know. It was a really fun trip. Fun to be on tracks. The Tacoma sucked to steer because it doesn't have hydro assist and it's IFS. And so the tie rods on the Tacomas are super freaking small. And so it was a pain in the ass to steer that truck all day long.
Okay.
I think if I had tracks on the 4Runner with a little bit shorter wheelbase to help with getting through those snow drifts, because the other problem with the Tacoma is that it's so long that if you have a snow drift that has a exit and then an entrance and then an exit right after, if you have to climb that exit before your ass end is down off the entrance,
you're digging down.
You're just digging.
Yeah.
So I think a shorter wheelbase would be better and hydro assist and lower gearing. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you should have just said, you know what? I would love to borrow the Tacoma, but I'm just going to put the tracks on Kermit.
Yeah. Which I can do because they're the same lug pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
So now I'm debating on getting a set of tracks next year.
Ooh.
And
tracks for the Bronco.
I think I would get them for the Bronco. So, well, here's the thing, because my new axles are 8 lug.
Yep.
In order to put the 8 lug tracks that Ruby Tracks makes, they're a lot heavier and they're designed for 1-ton trucks. And I'm like, I don't want a bunch of weight if I'm going snow wheeling. I don't have a 1-ton truck. I have a 4,000 pound 4Runner when I'm snow wheeling. So I want it to stay lightweight. I don't need the extra strength and beef of the 1-ton tracks. So I think what I'm going to do is order the regular duty tracks in the 6 lug pattern, which is the Bronco's lug pattern now.
Yeah.
That way I can use them on the Bronco and then have Bora make me some custom adapters.
Some wheel spacers.
To go from the 8 lug on my new axles to the 6 lug of the Ruby Tracks. And that'll be a plan for next year.
Yeah. I'm interested. I'm running through my head if there's got to be a combo there to go from 6 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
But there's probably a lot of spots where one of the 6 lugs matches one of the 8 lugs.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would be an issue.
The way that the Ruby Tracks are set up, like the bolts or the lugs and bolts on them, is not a normal wheel pattern.
Oh, okay.
So
you still need some sort of spacers from whatever wheels you're running or whatever your lug pattern is to their pattern.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, I had a lot of fun. It was a fun trip. So,
rad.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take the tracks to Moab?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. So with Kermit not getting done now until June, we are going to start making some attempts to get that Jeep out of the Rubicon.
Oh,
that's now under 15, 20 feet of snow.
Yeah. So gonna have to wait a little bit.
We'll have to wait a tiny bit here, I think, but I think we're going to start making attempts after Moab. And I'm going to see if Dimitri wants to let me use the Tacoma to work on that. Because Alex and Nick really want to go in as well. So Alex will bring the 49-inch tires.
Okay.
And Nick will probably bring his 4Runner, would be my guess, or the quad.
Yeah.
Just to make sure he can get around places and scout things out. And that should be a really fun group to get out and see if we can get that Jeep recovered.
Sweet. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'd love to come, but I would not. Bobcat's not ready for that. Bobcat.
Yeah.
Unless I put a winch on by then.
Yeah.
And then Bobcat might be ready.
Yeah.
So that, or I just might hike.
Yeah. Or just come along, ride along in the Tacoma. There's 5 seats in the Tacoma with the flatbed on that.
Right.
So
True.
Yeah,
we'll see. That could be fun.
Yep.
Could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. So, I mean, we are a little future casting here, but how are you ready for Moab? Are you ready? Is the trailer good? Give us a quick little update on that.
Yeah, everything's pretty much ready to go. We just need to put the bedding in the trailer, make sure that all of our food supplies and like commissary stuff is in there. Cause I moved it all around last year going summer wheeling in the 4Runner, and I need to make sure it's all back in the trailer, but the electrical is up and running. Everything's been working great. I'm making power with the solar panels, and
cool.
It's telling me how much, which is pretty fun. And then we got the heated mattress cover, for the double in there. So it's just putting the bedding back on, and then it's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, packing and take off, huh?
Yeah.
So by the time of this recording, you're leaving in a few days.
Tomorrow.
Oh, you're leaving tomorrow?
Oh, no, this recording's coming out.
Well, as of this recording, you're leaving tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Right now?
No, as of us recording, I'm leaving Friday. So this is Tuesday. So yeah, a few days. We're going Friday morning. We're going to go down I-5. We're going to say hi and pass the Tulare Lake.
Okay.
Did you hear about that?
I have.
Yeah. Which is kind of fun because that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
Was in Visalia and Tulare. And I've known about the Tulare Lake and the history of it, but it's never been there.
Right. It's been dried up forever until this year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lake there now.
There's a lake, and it's just going to keep getting bigger right now. So anyways, we're going to say and wave hi to the Tulare Lake as we drive by. And then we're going to head up into Mojave.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to camp the first night in Mojave.
Oh, cool.
Around there somewhere. And then second night, we're going to head out to past Vegas. We're going to head to St. George or Hurricane, right around there. And I think we're doing Tokerville Falls.
Oh, nice.
Second day.
Heard of that.
We'll camp somewhere around Tokerville Falls, out near Hurricane St. George area. And then the third day we'll go in and check out Sand Hollow, and then drive up to Moab and end up in Moab the night of the third day.
Okay.
And then that should be Friday. Will be Friday nights in Mojave. Saturday night is around Tokerville. And then Sunday night, I guess we'll be in Moab, but we have the house starting Monday. So
do some dispersed camping in Moab.
And then go check out one of the national parks there on Monday.
Sweet.
And then Tuesday is when you guys show up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No, I won't be there till Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
That's at least my plan as of right now.
Gotcha.
I'm going to leave Tuesday, but I'm planning on spending the night. So like probably in Salt Lake City area. Okay. And then it'll be a few hours till I get down there on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. I had you down in the house for Tuesday night.
That's okay.
Okay.
Maybe I'll leave on Monday then.
All right. So anyways, yeah, so we're really looking forward to this trip. It'll be fun to play with the new electrical setup and see how it goes.
Yeah, I bet.
In the trailer.
There's a lot of new things that are happening, and I think we'll talk about that on the next episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll get to test all that out and play around with the Starlink on this trip too.
Ooh, cool.
So
sounds good.
Yep. Fun times. I guess if anybody has any feedback for us, any comments, anything like that, you guys know how to get a hold of us. There's also, as always, the voicemail that you can call and leave us a message. So 916-345-4744. And we do have a few voicemails. We'll get to those when we get back from Moab. So keep those coming in, and we'll play them and say hi to you guys the next week or so as we get back from Moab. So cool.
Sounds great.
Awesome, man. Any final words for everybody out there?
I don't care if tracks were the win or if they weren't, but that Tacoma just looks good.
It does look good. It got a lot of attention driving around.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Okay.
This one actually hits home a little bit.
Like literally?
Almost literally.
Okay.
Kind of literally. I think it'll hit home for a lot of people.
Okay.
How many DIY buffs does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know how many.
1. But it takes 2 weeks and 4 trips to the hardware store.
Yes, that is true.